GMP folks are happy to come and answer our questions and deal with any issues that we have. Thank you for coming. There's treats, and there's a bathroom in the town office that I'd be happy to let anybody into. And thank you very much. I'll turn it over to you folks.
I just take over a little, just real quick on some, this is really your meeting. They're going to have a short presentation, not even a presentation, but just a quick explanation of what's going on. And then it's really your meeting to ask questions, get answers, and have your say. I would ask that if you're going to say something or ask a question, first off, raise your hand so we're not over talking each other. And second, please stand up and state your name so that the transcript will capture the name rather than just Marlboro. And that's all I have. I'll let these gentlemen and ladies introduce themselves.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Nick. Thank you to the town of Marlboro. Thank you to the residents and our customers here in Marlboro. Tim Jones, Green Mountain Power, Don Mills, Carol Weston, Kristen Carlson, all part of our resiliency and reliability team at Green Mountain Power. Just a little bit of history, how we got here. A couple of years ago, it's been probably 3 years ago, let's just call it March of 2023, after a round of exceptionally severe storms and damaging storms on our system. We created a standalone project at the time, and we had called it the Zero Outage Initiative. And it was an initiative that we took the opportunity to look at the worst performing circuits in the company and develop a program to bring to the state regulators to say, over the next 2 years and for this amount of money, we propose to go and attack these circuits in this fashion and rebuild them with our best storm hardened technology, which one of the signatures of that program has become our buried, our underground program, or our cable and conduit program. So it's actually a twofold program of rebuilding overhead lines that are deemed, sort of eligible to be rebuilt overhead, but we also have taken the opportunity to take a lot of our lines in some of these rural areas and dirt roads where our lines run cross country, just kind of historic routing when there wasn't really much on the range, and basically taking the shortest path between two locations. But this gives us an opportunity now to just bring those lines to the road and basically improve our reliability, resiliency, improve the safety of our customers, the safety of our own folks for going out into these risky right-of-ways and repairing things that are sort of not really meant to be out in the elements anymore in their current configuration. So we bring them to the road. So those are sort of how we originate these programs. And the 56G1 circuit is a circuit that serves this area. Is one of the worst performing circuits that we decided to act on. So over the last couple of years, up to and including this coming construction season, we've been picking away at doing that. We probably have approximately 80 miles of our lines buried and over 100 miles of our lines rebuilt overhead in that time frame. We have one more construction season, and our program ends on September 30th of this year. Last year, as you all know, one of the programs that we came and partnered with the town of Marlboro was rebuilding Ames Hill Road. It was also a joint partnership with Brattleboro as well. So, as you know, the project went essentially from here at Cow Path 40 all the way down to Heinsberg Road. So it was a long duration project, but it was a great opportunity for us to really get to a line that's been very problematic in the history for GMP, and bring that all to the road and get it buried, get our main line buried with the really sort of the goal of the main line is now secured, the main line stays on, most people stay on when we have inclement weather. That project wrapped up. We did come back to the town earlier this year, probably around the first of the year, February, to get feedback, meet with the board, get feedback on how our project went last year. We certainly heard from some customers along the way, but it was a good opportunity again to have the select board channel and any of the other feedback they got and let us know how our project went off. Once we sort of got that, then we felt comfortable asking for some new business with the town, which is another reason why we're here today. is we asked the town for permission to partner with us on 3 more projects this summer. Moss Hollow being one of them, which is the one that's fully completely in Marlboro. We're also doing Lucier, Thomas Hill Road, and we're also doing a project on Hamilton Road off of Route 9. That's also a joint project with Brattleboro, and the Lucier Thomas Hill Road is a joint project with Halifax. So we visited with all the other partner communities that touch these projects and have gotten our approval. We do have approval from Marlboro to move forward, working in close conjunction with Andrew, conditioning our construction activities. So we have a script as to how we approach these and basically encountering roads and hopefully, obviously upgrading our power, but returning the roads to a little bit better than we found them. And that's really sort of the gist of where we've been, why we're here today. Obviously, welcome any feedback at any time. It helps us improve how we approach things, how we identify what we're doing, how we communicate with the public, and then of course the sort of the tactical approach of actually pulling the project off and having a disruptive activity going on in your town. We know that this year you have a music festival, so I think part of the other sensitivity that we've discussed here is being out of Marlboro prior to July 4th. That's our goal, is to get in, start Moss Hollow hopefully the beginning of May, get through there, get in and out of there, and be gone certainly well in advance of the music festival. I think the Lucier Thomas Hill Road probably a little bit more less disruptive to town activities, and Hamilton Road obviously not in the village. So our focus really is Moss Hollow, getting in here, getting that done to the satisfaction of the town and the customers along the road, and certainly your feedback will be imperative on how that goes and how we carry ourselves out there, and obviously how we believe we carry ourselves out there is always a great temperament to have folks tell us, you know, how it really went in that perception and reality of what it's like to live around one of our projects. So I'm not sure if anybody else up here wants to share anything or not, but.
The one thing I'll just add and echo, Jim, you know, we're really grateful to be here. Thank you for hosting us today. We've seen some really great results from the work we've done, so while we are here absolutely to hear all of your questions and make this construction, you know, season as seamless as we can for all of you, we believe the investment we're making is really important for all customers, especially those that are along the circuit here. So we've looked at a fair amount of data both before and after the work, and you know, high winds are a pretty common thing in southeastern Vermont. They do impact trees, which then hit lines. We've had a fair amount of high winds since we've done a lot of the work that we've been taking in over the past couple of years, and we've seen 90–95% reduction in outages. So the technology that Tim is describing, both overhead and underhead, really is proven at this point. We really believe in it, and we think that you'll notice a big difference if you haven't already from the work that we're doing, and we hope that that makes a difference to you as well.
Before we get into your questions, I just want to say we have Andrew until 3. He has some parental duties that he has to take care of. So if there are questions that might pertain especially to Andrew in terms of this, not if you have other issues, that's another meeting. Please think about getting them in up front.
Sure. And the one last piece I'll touch on is just sort of the progression of activities that you might have seen out there. So the undergrounding project has a lot of elements to it. So we have our big tractor, our big saw that drives the direct bury undergrounding operation. Around that we have line workers, but behind that we also have a civil crew that's actually tending the road and getting the ditches closed up and getting the roads passable. And then we have the line company that follows behind and does all the terminations, does all the line work, and gets the line energized and transferred over. So we do have 3 separate disciplines going on out there at any one time. Plus we have traffic control again, so it's just sort of that every discipline has a task for the day, but the task is for us to basically move together as one and make sure that we're causing the least amount of disruption possible. Once we're done and out of there and all the termination work is done, then our final act is to come in and re-gravel and grade the roads and basically return them to as we found them, where I said a little bit better. So that's the progression, and those are so we have 3 different companies essentially working out there, plus traffic control at any one time. time. So again, welcome any feedback you see on any of those elements whatsoever. So.
Hi, I'm Laura Carlton, Ames Hill resident, and I have to start by saying Tim and Christine have been extremely responsive to all my phone calls, and anytime Tim has come to see what happened in the front of my house, you've all been very helpful and polite, and the road crew was almost always extremely polite through the whole project. I heard you say approval, town approval, so I wasn't aware that anything was going to happen on Ames Hill. I received one letter from GMP, but I have several questions. Was there a meeting like this held prior to the work on Ames Hill? Was there a letter that went out to the residents of Ames Hill saying that this project was going to occur? As Tim knows and Christine, I'm very upset about the aesthetics. We have these huge green boxes, some now with graffiti up and down Ames Hill, extra poles right at the entrance of my driveway, red poles, 3 red poles on my property warning that the lines are buried. So I wasn't aware of any of that I wasn't even aware that the project was going to happen. GMP did send me one letter telling me that there was a resiliency project, but it didn't explain what the aesthetics would be, to the road. And my last concern another question is who incurs the cost of this? Do our GMP bills go up just on the roads that have these projects done to them? And also now, for lack of better terminology, it's as if my driveway is caved in where the culvert is. It's leveled and going lower, where it was always a higher bank. And the culverts on either side, I have some frontage on Ames Hill, are definitely caved in. I've never seen Ames Hill like that before. Every time you pass a culvert, there's a ditch. And so those are my concerns and questions.
I'll try and take them in order. So yes, there was, we did not have a meeting like this. In the original, when we came in and asked the town for permission to do Ames Hill Road, typically our process is to go to the select board and work with the town road superintendents to vet the projects. And that's our public sharing of the project in front of the select board. So probably didn't go into great specifics necessarily about what the termination cabinet would look like at someone else's driveway, but we did disclose all of the gear and the means and methods of our construction out there and basically what the goals were. So it remains a combination of overhead lines to serve people's individual homes, but the cabinets and the whips that you had talked about basically signify that there's underground power. The boxes are where we terminate and serve people's homes, and the whips need to be on there for safety, so we know where those boxes are in the wintertime, as well as our way of signifying it, but it's also a way of signifying for safety that nobody should be digging in the road without doing some due diligence and dig safing, that there's underground power in the road. So those are some necessities that we need to have out there. Those red whips, that's kind of something that we have to have on the landscape now that we've buried our infrastructure. In terms of just overall, we have visited, and I think we have told all the towns, once the snow is out, if there's anything that needs attention or repairs, we're certainly going to stand behind the work that we did last year. I know that we owe you some plantings out in front of your house, and we've already heard from Andrew about a couple of other issues, and we're making a list, and we will make the town whole at our cost to come back out there and fix whatever we see. So if there's an individual situation, now that I know, it sounds like I owe you another visit to see what's going on around your house, but that goes for any customer along Ames Hill. If they know it was something that wasn't quite right, or they have a question about something, we'll come out and address it. And if it's in the travel road right away, we're going to deal with directly with Andrew to make those repairs. Costing, I think.
I'm happy to take that one.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you for the questions, and obviously we'll be back out and we'll make it right. On the cost question, which is a really good one, where you asked, does the road pay for it? Who pays for it? So essentially, the reason why we started this work is that storms, and you all experience these, were getting really bad and causing lots of damage. when we have to go out with our crews, and Don leads the Brattleboro district, and so leads a lot of the teams here doing this work. He knows all the roads inside and out, lives here, and so that comes at a cost that customers have to pay. And our storm costs were going up and up and up. And so this approach is to stop those never-ending increasing storm costs so that when we do the repair work, the power stays on and it saves customers money. So to answer your question, it actually will lower the cost that customers are paying, everybody, and it isn't just you pay, we don't separate it out by customers. So any of the work Green Mountain Power does is all of our customers fund that work. And then when there are savings, everyone will see the benefits of that. So as Tim said in his beginning conversation and Carol mentioned, what we're seeing with the undergrounding and the strengthening of the overhead lines is that they're not going out when the storms hit. So we've had really high winds and the power has by and large stayed on. And so that saves customers money because then we don't have to go out and repair those lines. So the goal of this work is really threefold. Tim hit it. One is to save money because the storm costs were getting unsustainable for customers. Two, it's the safety of our customers. I talk to customers during storms who are without power. Some people are able to weather them, some people are not. A lot of people are on oxygen, so as to keep the lights on in these remote areas. And then it was the safety of our crews, because they're often out in very dangerous, unsustainable situations that could be life or death. So those are our three kind of North Star touch points.
So it was our select board who approved this project
Last year.
without any of the Ainsdale residents.
That's why we're doing this out of order from that.
And it was an announced meeting of the regular meeting of the select board where they came in.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Nick. I live over on Lucier Road, and generally I'm really supportive of this kind of work happening because I've literally seen broken power lines in front of my driveway on a high wind day, so that's great that this is happening. But I do have a question of how it's going to impact the trees along Lucier Road, and I guess along the whole project, but in particular we have just beautiful roads out there, and I am sure that in the course of road crew work and power work, sometimes trees have to come down, but I'm wondering what you anticipate the impact is going to be so we know what it's going to look like visually, what's going to happen to the forests around where we live.
Sure, that's a great question. I think it'll actually be, you'll see less impact from tree trimming, and the initial tree trimming is going to be minimal. If there is for some reason a large tree that we need to take down, we'll talk to the customer beforehand, but usually we try to work around that. Most of the stuff isn't buried in the roadway, within the roadway. We're not really interrupting any root systems or anything from the trees, so it's not like we're cutting through them, a bunch of tree roots. For the most part, within the roadway, there's not a whole lot of growth underneath of that. And this also kind of helps us as far as the tree trimming in general. The more that we can bury in the ground, the less tree trimming we have to do. So we're on a 7-year cycle right now where, depending on where the lines are, where you live on Lucier, it might be in your backyard, you won't see those tree crews out there any longer taking the trees down or limbing it back.
Just a follow-up on that is, I live in a lovely corridor of Lucier Road. It's fairly narrow, and it's beautiful in the fall, but would a corridor like that, can your equipment just go through without touching the trees on the side?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
What's your address?
I live on Fisher Cat, so I also noticed that there's some of the poles on this were going to remain in that. I think it's Ting Turner's property just up there, and I was wondering if there was a logic to what poles stay up and what poles come down and all of that.
Yeah, so for the most part, like Tim was saying, we bury the main line. So it's kind of like an express and intercept kind of deal. And then the tap lines that come off of that are still going to have to exist. So to hit the individual customers along that line, those poles will still need to stay there.
I think you had your hand up in the back first. Sorry, she was first.
Yes.
Kind of do it in order.
Here, if you wanted this, here's the Lucier Road, if you wanted to look at anything.
We also have hard copies here of the different projects.
Oh,
Yeah, we
okay.
didn't mention, yes, there are maps us, if you don't have them already on the table, you can walk through parts of that if you want. But the blue lines generally mean it's a new line, the green lines are existing, dotted is underground, solid is overhead. Right, Tim? Yes.
So Deanna Noyes, I live on Lucier Road, and I wanted to follow up a little bit on what Nick was saying. Along my property line, which is the second property on Lucier Road, there are a few native shrubs, one of which is pretty rare, and it's very small. I marked it last year. And I'm concerned about how those native shrubs will be protected. There's also a number of native swamp azaleas up the road by Judd Road. And they're sort of, those especially are sort of a source of pride for the neighborhood. And they are native, they're not that, you don't see a lot of them around here. So I'm concerned about those, and I'm wondering if there's something that I can do to flag these shrubs, to say, please don't destroy them. One of them I noticed is right next to a new stake that's in the ground, and I wonder if that's one of the places you're thinking of putting one of those green boxes. So I'm just wondering what we can do as neighbors to help you guys realize where these plants are that we're interested in saving.
Great, so after we, can give you your name and address later, and it's a simple trip to your home, and just looking at the situation that we're proposing for construction around your house. And you can show us all the sensitivities that you have and mark things, and that would go on a construction map and just tell our contractor crews out there, beware of this, or avoid this, or opposite side of the street here or there. So we can also have a little bit more conversation about what we're going to do and why we would or would not be anywhere near what you're concerned.
One of them is really quite small, and it's actually sort of growing out of a stone wall. I found it totally by accident last year and checked with a neighbor who's a forester, and he said, yes, it's a relatively rare thing. I'd be tempted to try to move it, except that it's growing out of this stone wall. So anyway, my other question is, and I apologize, I came in a little bit late, and I was trying to follow what you were just saying about the lines on the map. Could you just say again what the dotted line is and the green line is?
The blue dash is underground. That's where we're proposing to bury, so probably the blue dash should follow the road pretty much exclusively in that respect. Solid blue is rebuild overhead. So some areas, say anything over a 24-inch culvert, for example, we need to fly overhead, as we say. So we could underground up to it, and then you might see a span or two of overhead to avoid some sort of resource constraint, so we can go back underground. Green is existing, so that would depict that we would tie into something that's existing overhead, or if it's a pink dash, might signify that somebody already has buried power to their house or something to that effect. But it's the dash blue and the solid blue that depict new.
Okay, and the thin red is an overhead. That goes from the road to that house? Is that right?
Yeah, we have the existing house service. Yep.
And then the dotted red is where it's underground.
Somebody already has their service buried.
Okay. All right, thank you very much.
But let's make a point of giving you your address, because that's how we would operate in a situation like this, just,
Right.
visit
I mean,
folks and
now that I understand the map a little bit better, we might be okay, but if the road crew is going to ditch along there, then I would want to let you guys know what we're talking about.
Yeah. So I think you mentioned two different shrubs, plants, or whatever.
There are three different ones on my property and the neighboring property that are right along along the ditch?
So I think one of them you said was a swamp azalea or something like
Those
that.
are farther up the road,
Okay.
between Judd Road, Lucier Road, and
Well, I can speak to those. Kind of a funny story. I do have a bunch at my house on Higley Hill. And when we bought my house, I was doing some ditching with an excavator to keep the water off my lawn. I absolutely destroyed them. My wife got extremely mad at me, and I really thrashed them around pretty hard. I transplanted them. They're pretty hardy. So my suggestion is, let me back up. As far as the ditching goes, our main focus this summer is to do some ditch cleaning all on Ames Hill and get that wrapped up. I probably will not have time to start tackling Moss Hollow, Lucier, and Hamilton this summer. So with that said, my suggestion is number one, yes, if you talk with me before we get up there ditching or whatever, mark them. And with the azaleas, if you're really concerned about them, I'd dig them up and put them farther back or transplant them. They're really hardy. But I can't speak to the other ones. I don't know what the other ones are.
yeah, there's two ilex, the American Highway, really big bushes. They're spectacular.
So in my experience with shrubs, not necessarily flowers,
Yeah.
but in my experience with shrubs, that most of them are relatively hardy. And they'll probably take transplanting pretty well. But I'm also not a botanist, so.
When it's closer to
Okay.
the time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This,
I'm Nels Foster, I'm on Moss Hollow Road, 728 Moss Hollow. I'm sure my wife will contact you about plants along this line. I was just curious to reframe this. Is there anything that would be said today that would substantially change this project, like the routing, where the boxes go, or is this more or less informational?
I think we can meet out with you and then discuss, like right now there's stakes out there depicting where the boxes are going. And you're also going to notice that this year with the work that we're doing, because it's only single phase, the boxes will be a lot smaller than the ones you're seeing on Ames Hill. So we could meet with you ahead of time if you want to slide it a little to the left or right. We can work with you on that.
I think we have a question over here.
And you're next.
Mary Peterson, Hamilton Road, thank you. Thank you for meeting with us, because it gives whoever wants to have an opportunity to ask you questions, and I appreciate that. And to follow up on what most everybody has said, but my question about the aesthetics, this is your home, you put a lot of time into it, so the aesthetics of what you guys have to leave behind is important. So will you be able to meet with each person, and you could say, oh, by the way, that you're going to have these whips in your lawn forever, or whatever. Can we move that, to the left, to the right? Can we do something else so that they know ahead of time? That's one question. So before. The second thing is that somebody brought up about tree removal. I don't know if you have walked Hamilton Road, but we're on the side of a cliff. And we know that the town has 50 feet for their road, which is probably 20 feet wide. And if you go either way, you're cutting into the properties or you're going into a cliff which is significantly steep at some places. So I'm very, and mind you, Hamilton Road is on the Marlboro and on a terribly dangerous curve where at least 6 people have died. So we need that road because these horrible accidents happen and it's at this stupid elevation where the snow turns to ice and everything. That Route 9 gets closed there often. So people who need to get by have to come on Hamilton Road, as tricky as it may be. So the cliff is one thing, is an issue for me, and removing trees means that the roots that support the entire side of the hill are going to be dying off, and that makes me uncomfortable about that. I'm sure you may know a lot more about that than I do. And then on a more personal level, if you're cutting into the higher side of Hamilton Road, I know my house has stone walls there. And I'm wondering, back to the aesthetics, if you have to cut into my yard, which I understand that 50-foot deal, which I'm not always happy about, but if that means that you're breaking into my stone wall, I'm an old lady now, I can't be doing that myself anymore. And let me tell you, I got a cranky husband who will not be happy about that because he did almost all of that. So that's my other question so far.
Okay, well, thank you. I just drove Hamilton Road on the way here just to, revisualize what we're doing up there, and it is a very challenging site, there's no question. So first, aesthetically, as we said, we can come to anybody's property at their request and look at what would be on your property.
At their request,
At
so
their
you're
request.
saying that the people, because we didn't get I knew because Forrest had posted something or somebody had posted something, and most of my neighbors were not aware because they didn't get like a letter from you guys. So
It will be coming out, so we
Okay.
are, so we had just got approval, so we haven't, that's an underground project, so that's probably not gonna start until May. So we'll be sending letters out. So again, either by word of mouth or you get a letter, anybody that wants to talk to us will come out and look at things. And typically when we're out, we have our designers out there staking things, come across a lot of customers as well. We can have those conversations, in the field while we're doing them. So the answer is yes, we can address any aesthetic issues anyone would have if something was proposed on their lawn or on their property. The tree piece of it, our best management practice really is to, not have whole tree removal to the greatest extent practical. So this project is in the road. So Hamilton Road is going to be buried in the traveled road right away. So we're not going to be migrating outside of the current, shoulder to shoulder dirt that you see out there today. Our machine drives down the road and the wheel tracks right behind it, and that's where we'll be. So the only time we really come out of the road right away is to either, meet someone's service, or if we run the length of the material we have on a reel and we have to basically come up for air and splice and keep going. So those are the only excursions you'd see out. So you wouldn't see us coming along and say sticking a wing out and leveling your wall or doing something outside of the dirt road right away. So we are confined to that space. That's our agreement with the town, is to be in the traveled road right away. So that's a stipulation that we're making as we do this project. That's the technology piece of it. And I agree, the steep slopes, all those types of things, we're not going to be interfering with those. It's not our methodology to get into working on steep slopes and that type of stuff. Our machine drives down the road, and that's where all of our equipment's going to be installed. And then lastly, and the dangers of the upper entrance on Marlboro Road, or AKA Route 9, we will also have a permit from V-Trans to be operating out as we transition, say, from Stark Road, up Marlboro Road, Route 9, up into Hamilton Road, or either end. So tactically, we'll probably start at the upper end and come through and come down the other side, and use the hill to our advantage, but it will be very well signed and guarded with traffic control. So not only our commitment to the town to operate with the best traffic control planning, but also the state is going to task us that as well. And just in terms of our activity, we give a look-ahead schedule to the town, and however we communicate out to our customers to say, on this day, we're doing this, or we're going to be doing this week. So there's a predictability to what we're doing out there, making sure everybody has access. We met with the town of Brattleboro the other day, just again, trying to think of everything. When's the milk run? So what time of day should we not be on this part of that road versus another part? So again, it's disruptive in the short term, but it is minimally invasive in terms of we're in the road, and that's really the nature of our agreement with the town. And what we need for customers is typically guy wires or a box and something very much less invasive.
So what I think I understand you saying is that you're going to start on that awful corner of Hamilton and come in, and you're going to be pretty much keeping the road as wide or narrow as it is.
Correct.
And you're doing an absolute minimum on the cliff side. And I'm not hearing that you're really going into the side where most of the homes are.
So
And
typically,
you-
we would treat it like a stream. So if we would do the opposite side. So we'll treat the cliff as the opposite side. So our line would probably be maybe 4 to 5 feet in the road from the upland side. So basically, the track of our machine will be going right beside the road.
That's not what's on the drawing, so.
Well, we go from side to side typically, but look at that, again, we're not gonna cleave off the cliff.
So this is really going through the actual road, is what
Yes.
you're
In
saying.
the road, correct.
The machine is, the machine sort of marches down the road, and on the front end of the machine, there's a very big wheel with teeth. The teeth create the trench. Behind the machine, there's a reel of conduit that gets pulled and laid in the ground as the machine goes down the road. Behind that, there's a small machine that fills the trench back in, and a line crew that makes sure they can connect to any cabinets that we have to put in to serve people's homes. Or as Tim said, if we get to the end of a reel, we have to put a new one on or splice. So the activity happens in the road, which is why we need traffic control. It's why we want to be very clear about where we're going to be when and communicate that.
Who does the ditches then? Andrew does the ditches. You come anytime you're ready, honey, I'm ready for you now.
Mary, if I can just add to this, is last year really was a learning experience for everybody, for Green Mountain Power and for, as your town administrator, for me. The map's up behind you if you want to see it. And Kristen and I have developed a fabulous email relationship. I think her partner's getting very jealous of me, but that she sends me like a 2-week out notice of what's happening. And what I did last year, and I'm going to do again this year, is on the front page of the website is a GMP work update. And so when she sends me a notice, I go ahead and put it on there. And if you are on Facebook, either the general Facebook or the community Facebook, I do repost it to that too. So we've developed a pattern so that you'll know 2 weeks in advance, oh my God, they're coming tomorrow. It's not going to be, they're going to be there at 6 in the morning and I've got to be ready for it. You'll have 2 weeks notice. If you have an extra concern, you can either contact me, mostly via email. I would then contact Kristen, who would then contact these guys who are the ones who are out there with their hands in the dirt.
And I got you that and I very much appreciate the efforts of communicating, but I'm going to say that there are quite a few people that I'm aware of that do not use Facebook, do not use any kind of email sort of contact. So my concern would be for someone like, certainly my husband will know, but he never goes on, doesn't go. So unless I tell him, he's not going to know about it. So there are quite a few other people that are in that situation, which is why I had asked earlier about directly contacting each resident.
And too, like with the work that we're doing, it'll be just the same as Ames Hill. There'll be signboards out. There'll be a notification that the machine will be out there, so people driving up and down the road will visibly see that, yes, next week there's going to be a machine running down.
That'll be very helpful.
And I will also, and you can tell your neighbors or whatever, what Kristen sends me, I'll also post on paper on the bulletin board right by the post office. I have a limited amount of way of communicating with people, but I will do whatever you feel is necessary.
I got you. I know what you mean.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just a quick offer first. Would it be possible for the people on that street to put together a telephone list?
Absolutely.
That you could have?
Yep.
And that we could maybe take half a day or whatever, just to call people? Would that be a good thing?
We will have a
I know a lot of
construction.
people who don't use the internet.
Right.
And don't come to the reading minutes or anything. It's a perennial problem how to communicate with people who don't check all those things. So
We've done that. I mean, we have a construction management firm that's going to be out there for us. So we've seen it work both ways. We've put together small, email lists, or I call it the prayer chain, right? So you call one person, we'll have somebody out there if that's the way people choose to communicate with us. But again, our one consistent approach with the town, working in all those channels, and then however else we make it, but we will have people on the ground out there every day in case anything arises.
Can we post your updates on the board?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And another suggestion too is the foremen that work for us, that work for the contractors, are really customer focused. So if you have any concerns, ask who the foreman is, go up and talk to that person, and they can they'll help you out, I'm sure.
Thank you.
They've done it on Western Ave, they've done it in the other projects that we do. They're more than willing to help.
I know, sorry, someone's behind you.
Can we?
Yeah.
Thank you. I have two sort of disparate questions. One is the legal implications of the actual right-of-way, which is not owned by the town, as I understand it, but the town has a long-term, forever right-of-way. But and if I'm incorrect in this, I wish that our listeners were here. I'm happy to be corrected. But my understanding historically has always been that the right-of-way is still owned by the abutting landowner. And when town roads are thrown up, if there's a landowner that's different on each side, historically, the reversal of the protocol is to return the land that was being thrown up by the town 50-50, right down the middle of the road. So that leads me to believe that I'm correct in that the ownership is still the titled landowner or owners of the site. So the town has the right of way. What do you guys have from the landowners? Because most of our class 3 roads are 3 rod, 49.5 feet width roads. But you often, with your transformer boxes and connection boxes, are outside of that. I've been confused. People have asked me questions. Well, we're actually paying taxes on this land, which is the right-of-way. We own the right-of-way, even though the town has total right to do the municipal stuff. But now you guys are getting much more connected in a fairly complex forever manner even than poles. So you must be hiring lawyers and surveyors to do the maps and everything. What is the consideration statutorily about, do you ever have to ask a landowner for anything?
There are certain parts of projects that happen on private property, and for those we get easements. So every project, mostly every project we have, has a number of easements that we pursue from private property owners along the right-of-way. The road work that we are doing is in the town right-of-way. We get permission to be there, and that's where our line goes, and that's our agreement with the town. We have done, as Tim said, 8 miles of this, and Vermont, and in every case, the road right-of-way approval from the town is what we use when we go in.
So no one has asked this question. In other words, this has not been...
This has not come up. When we work on individual properties with, whether it's a pole or guy wire, anchor, we pursue and get easements from landowners before we get the project cleared.
Okay. So if a landowner asks this question, as long as the work is within the 3-rod legal ROW, nothing has to be asked of the landowner.
That's correct.
We have not gotten easements for work in the road.
But if you
from
go
private property owners.
We go outside the road.
If you go outside with your transformer
Yeah,
boxes,
then we do.
then you do
Correct.
have to ask permission.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think in our agreement, we list 19 BSA 11. It's the same reg that we're getting our V-Trans right-of-way permits for the road right-of-way. So that's sort of our single sign-on, if you will, is, the road right-of-way. The town is the recognized manager of that, if you will. So that's who we approach. And as Carol said, anything outside of that, then we are beholden to contacting landowners. A lot of times we're working within our existing right-of-way anyway, because we already have overhead there. So, but
Yeah, that's an interesting point, Tim, that you might just want to explain to folks. So we do have as part of where our lines are, right-of-way that exists on either side. All utilities do. We work with landowners all the time, but we do have a right to that property to maintain this critical infrastructure.
The reason I was a little bit curious, after Irene, on my road, where I own land on both sides of the road, a bunch of poles got damaged and GMP wanted to upgrade it. I gave them verbal permission. They drew up a contract for me as the landowner to sign, and it was so loaded with tangential benefits forever and anon that I declined to sign it, and I gave GMP verbal permission to set poles in explicit points that I and their engineers agreed on, and they went ahead and did it without a right-of-way. But the fact that they had come to me and asked for a right-of-way is what raised this point, because some of the poles are actually going to be within the 3-rod width, and they still were asking for permission for a written sign right-of-way.
And I think what you're seeing is that, and now Jenny can answer this.
And a lot of times too, like, the pole will be in the town right away, but the anchor that holds the pole up, that might be on your property, and at that point, we need to get an easement.
Second point I have is about what is going on, and I'm an excavator, so I'm dealing with dig safe all the time, building driveways. Now I'm crossing far more infrastructure that is harder for me to intuitively know is there. In the old days, if there's a pole and a transformer and conduit coming down, etc. But my experience with DigSafe has been that they are randomly, hopelessly inadequate. And the people who respond on the phone are wonderful. They do everything exactly right. The person who comes to respond to my question within what is now 72 hours, I think it jumped from 48, I have to do all my own tracing. Absolutely untrustworthy. They may not come at all. They may come and not mark anything. They may mark something 20 feet off to the side, even on primary. So I would love to hear some assurance. I've been working in this town all my life, that I can come to you guys to override or supplant DigSafe, because I don't even know if DigSafe is actually coming. Lots of times they won't put out flags or markers, and I'm trying to guess whether they've come or not. And sometimes there's primary power I know is there. Something I installed myself years before, and it's not marked. So I see this as a real problem for someone like myself digging in the ground all the time, and I would love to have a better line of communication directly with you folks.
So first, you're gonna need to call DigSafe.
Yes, I understand.
Always have to call
And
DigSafe.
then, like, if you're not satisfied with what they see, then you can contact us, and I can send somebody out to look at that. The other thing I will say is DigSafe does not mark anything privately held.
Understood.
So any service, any primary that's running through the property that the customer owns, they are not gonna mark it out. So it's strictly our stuff and the phone company.
My point will be that if I call DigSafe and they have a 72-hour window, and I've got a schedule, and then they don't do sufficient to appease my concerns, now I have to start again with you guys. I would rather have some kind of a contact with you guys. I'll go to DigSafe, but in parallel, be able to get you guys if I'm concerned.
So DigSafe will always be the first call, and you must call DigSafe.
I
They
will.
will come out and do their markings. If there's a question that you have about where the lines are, Don and his crew are happy to come out and talk to you about it, but please don't take that as a reason to not call DigSafe and to not look at DigSafe's lines as what's in the ground. That has to be something that we are all in agreement on.
That is true.
That's what we count on as well.
And I would do it in parallel, but I used to be able to get Kevin Brady to come, somebody like that. Now I just don't have the contacts. I don't know if this is even a protocol that's possible, but since this is getting much more complex with everything on all the town roads, I think it would be a great thing to be able to have a secure line of communication with you folks.
So here's what we're gonna do, for sure, is, these are conversations that we've had with Andrew and his peer group, right? Something new is underground now. So we will be bringing as-built to the town. So there's a resource there that you can, again, just if you're question, or again, Ames Hill, you can kind of, have that as a resource. So you have some other idea of what's under there, not completely beholden to your dig safe, but we will also recanvass the town with, here's who to call in district. You mentioned Kevin Gregg, and he's retired, but certainly there's a Kevin in all of our districts. So certainly we're more than happy to come out and help triage or confirm what we all believe is there before we have an accident, for sure.
I've got a question from Ben online. Go ahead, Ben. Online. Go ahead, Ben.
I was wondering how much is this project going to cost in total, and does it raise our taxes, and does it raise our electricity?
It won't raise your taxes, your electric bill, but I don't know much that won't raise it, but I don't know what the specific project is.
I don't have the project costs in front of me, Ben. Yeah, we can talk to you about that offline. I'm not sure if you heard Kristen's comment from earlier, but this initiative is part of an effort that we are undertaking to really address the severity, frequency, cost, and safety concerns associated with storms, especially in this part of the state. We all, as GMP customers, are burdened with the cost of restoring after storms, and investments such as these help us to create more resilient systems that don't fail during storms, and therefore reduce our restoration costs and increase everyone's safety by keeping you powered on in your home, keeping Don and his crews out of dangerous situations. So while there's always a cost to an investment, the investment pays off in dividends, both in terms of how and when we restore power, how much it costs to do that, and how much power you all have on during storms. So there is a cost to it. Like I said, I don't have that one, this particular project, on my radar, but I can tell you that over the course of 2 years, GMP will have invested $150 million in resiliency, and you'd be surprised at how quickly storm restoration costs can add up. And really our goal is to offset storms well into the future. The systems we're putting in place, their life is in 7-8 decades, maybe more. And these underground cable and conduit jobs will be there long after all of us. And so will the overhead spacer cable as well. So while there's cost to invest, the dividend is there. And if you want more detail on certain project costs, we can talk more offline.
Okay, so the Green Mountain Power is paying for this project, and town of Marlboro isn't paying?
Correct.
Okay, and I was wondering, when there's underground utility lines, do they ever lose power, or are they totally reliable?
Yeah, I'd say for the most part, you're not going to lose power somewhere along the underground portion of it. Where you're going to lose power is where it comes overhead out of the substation, or from the underground to your house.
Or the tower on augment.
If you have an underground service.
And undergrounding, sorry, no.
Like there's been areas where there was direct buried underground cables without the protection that these have on them, that have been in the ground for 70 years and they haven't had an issue.
Yeah, undergrounding isn't new. It's new for your town, but undergrounding has been used for decades and decades, and your neighbors in Chittenden County, Franklin County, this is something that they've had and enjoy, and why they don't lose power.
The other thing too is the product that we're putting in, it's actually in Schedule 40 conduit. So it's in conduit, it's a protected cable, it doesn't see the stress of normal glued together conduit where we're pulling it in, and it doesn't see that stress, so it's gonna last longer and it's more resilient.
I mean, I think that, just sort of quickly, just to explain mainly why the power goes out, it's often a tree has fallen on the line, or there's heavy wet snow or ice on the line. So if the line is underground, neither of those things can happen, and the majority of the reason why the power goes out has essentially been eliminated. There are still other times, like you said, when a service goes down or something happens, a car hits a pole, where service comes up, that can cause a problem. But weather is by far the biggest problem for overhead lines. And when they're hardened, like the ones we're putting on, there's steel cable above them, or when they're underground, they're much, much more resilient to that sort of thing.
Can flooding harm underground utility wires?
Everything is sealed, so it's one solid piece of conduit from cabinet to cabinet. When it comes up in the cabinet, then there's a sealant that we put on the conduit itself so that no water can get down into that. If for some reason the whole cabinet was underwater, everything is sealed with inside of that. So it won't damage any of the electricity, it won't even interrupt any of the service. So, like, I worked in the city of Philadelphia for a while. There were certain manholes that were totally full with water, or they were tidal with the Delaware River. And all that electrical equipment would go underwater, the tide would recede, and that equipment would continue working.
We saw that happen this last summer, 2 summers ago, when the bad flooding happened, where we had done some of this work, where there was massive flooding, roads were washed away, and the underground wires were still offering power to folks. Is there another Zoom question?
I've got another one. Ed, go ahead. Ed?
He's muted.
You're muted, Ed.
Or can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Can you hear me now? Okay, can you just read my question?
Ed asks,
to them?
yes. Can you not put a transformer box at the top of my driveway at 944 Moss Hollow Road as shown on the map?
We will come out and look at it. And if we can make an adjustment, we will.
Ed, did you hear that?
I did hear that. Can I ask my second question?
Of course, go ahead.
Well, why I don't want that transfer? Can I ask my next?
Of course, go ahead.
About why I don't want that transformer on the top of my driveway, about 50 feet from my well. Can you tell us the toxic materials that are used in all transformers that will be released during the next flood?
So, just to make a little correction.
Did you hear me?
Yes, I did hear you. So first off, that isn't a transformer box, so it's just a splice cabinet. So there's no toxic materials inside of that cabinet. There's no oil as if it were a transformer. Transformer oil, again, is it's kind of like vegetable oil, basically. So there's nothing toxic. There's no PCBs like there were back in the 60s and 50s when they were originally putting some of these transformers up. And all of those transformers, for the most part, have been removed off of our system and pretty much every electrical system in the United States at this point.
But the structure that you see on
Where are the transformers?
Where the transformer will exist, I don't have your exact location, but the aerial transformer will still exist as it does right now on a pole.
Yeah.
So all this is a splice box. So where the underground comes through, it hits the splice box, it comes out the splice box, and then goes up the pole to feed your transformer.
How will I discuss with you not putting a transformer at the top of my, not the transformer, I'm sorry, not putting the splicing box at the top of my driveway? How do we communicate about that?
So we have your address, Ed, but I think we probably need your phone number, and I don't know what the best way is to get that to him.
So we just leave Nick a contact list.
Yeah.
And however can people access it or whatever, phone numbers, emails.
Ed, I will send you an email with the phone number that you should call to set up an appointment.
Yep, we'll come right out.
I think there was another question.
Okay, whenever I try to do anything over the phone with GNP, it is almost impossible
Well, this is just setting up an in-person appointment, and
It's our cell phones.
Appointments.
It's our cell phones.
This is what I'm doing right here this meeting. I don't want that at the,
Yep, so Ed,
another place to
we,
put it, okay? Another place to put that box.
I think if
Ed, are you home right now?
I think if there's concerns about communication with Green Mountain Power, I think those can be addressed after this meeting. I think we need to keep moving forward with this meeting, Ed.
You could, Nick, you can also put.
Okay, I
your cell phone in the
don't
chat.
understand that when we worked on it,
You just
that
put your cell phone in the
the
chat.
road was not passable at various times. And residents there were very upset about that. How are we going to avoid that on Moss Hollow Road?
So with the culvert construction, so as we cut down through the road, putting our cable in, it will be passable. When it comes to removing the culverts and replacing them, the road will be closed, just as if the town was replacing a culvert. So yes, there will be times where you'll have to go out the opposite direction on Moss Hollow and heading towards the center of town. But, you know,
those are,
heading down to get back to the center of town if you needed to, like you could shoot straight out the Green River, up Butterfield, back on Route 9, and you'd be back in the center of town.
for everyone, just the way we typically address situations where the road is closed is we do our best to forecast when we're gonna be doing that kind of work with Andrew and the town. Get that on that look ahead list. We tend to try to be a little flexible. It might be Tuesday, it might be Wednesday, but there will be a time where the road's closed. We have traffic control. We offer information on how to get around, so if someone's not familiar, they can figure that out. But to Don's point, there are some unavoidable situations where we're doing work in the road where it just isn't safe to have a car driving through it. And safety is the biggest concern. So if that's needed, we'll do our best to communicate, we'll do our best to open it as quickly and as safely as we can and get everyone on their way.
It's our goal to reach out to EMS as well and the state police to let them know that, hey, this section of road is closed. If for some reason there's an incident, the way to get around that is whatever that happens to be. For the most part.
And I just sent you the cell phone numbers of Kristen and Tim, so that you can call them directly on their cell phone and set up an in-person visit.
And anyone can have that, you can share that anywhere.
Okay. That's fine for me to do, but I'm telling you right now, I don't want that box at the top of my driveway.
Understand.
Someplace else to put it. I'll discuss it with you at some future
Yeah,
point if you want to. The discussion, that's as far as I'm gonna discuss it. Don't put that box at the top of my driveway.
No, I don't, people are sighing about Ed, but I'm really upset about the box at the entrance of my driveway. I mean, that's what you see. That's how I can tell people my house is the house with the big green box at the end. So
Yeah.
I didn't have the courtesy of somebody coming prior to it. I would like to ask that I have the option of having that box moved now. And I hear you also saying this new project will have smaller boxes. And also my last question is, will you be fixing my culverts and driveway prior to Andrew's ditching, or will it go the other way around?
It'll go the other way around.
So how will I know how will GMP be able to see what exists now, the damage to the front of my house, if you do your ditching before they see it and correct it?
Well, we're gonna make some visits, right? That's kind of how we started the meeting. So I'm gonna come out and see you and everybody else here that's sort of raised their hand for some personal visit in the field, and you can count on that happening over the next couple of weeks.
And is there a possibility, as Ed is saying, to move the green box?
And I was pretty clear with you already about that's not going to be moving. It's not a physical possibility.
So I just want to warn everybody that basically with the green box that says the volume you're going, with all the home visits, it's unlikely that you're going to
No, I
get
think-
those green boxes moved.
I'm sorry, I think what Tim's saying is after it's installed, we cannot move it. It's where it is because the line comes
Why?
up.
I
and
didn't mean to science.
That project is
I know something about this. Why can't it be moved now? I mean, it's horrible. It's horrible. It really is. I mean, people may sigh and roll their eyes until it happens to their roads. I mean, it
Yeah.
doesn't look like a country road anymore. It looks like an industrial road. The boxes are huge, and as I said, now people have taken to putting graffiti on them. I mean, I've been talking to a realtor because I'm embarrassed to live where I live now, where Ames Hill used to be a beautiful road. I hear River Road too, it's just all up and down with whoop-de-doos, where GMP has done River Road. I also was told that Guilford's select board said no, and other towns said no after they saw River Road. You know, I was never given the courtesy, so 3 people have made all these decisions for all of us. I'm not happy, obviously. It doesn't look like
I can
a
assure
country
you
road.
that we've not been refused by any other town, so yeah, I think hearsay aside, I guess we're here today to take feedback on what happened on Ames Hill Road, and we're gonna do our best to, you know, to make it right at the end of your driveway. We've been out there a few times, we have a plan in place, but one of those plans does not include moving that box. I'm sorry that that's just the reality of it, and we're here to talk to other customers are gonna ask us to move some things, and we'll do what we can.
I'm the only one on Ames Hill from Marlboro to Brattleboro that has a box right at the entrance of her house. The only one. All the other boxes are moved away from the driveways. I'm close to tears. I'm the only one whose box is right there at the entrance of my driveway. It's really upsetting. I have very little view out of 2 windows. Both windows I look out and see a green box and extra poles. I think 3 extra poles and red markers. It's really upsetting.
Sorry.
Yeah, I just have a question.
Sure.
On the dig safe stuff, like, I'm pretty unfamiliar with power, I just know it's dangerous. So my question is in the event that myself or one of my guys, I'm gonna be very careful, it's dig safe, and we do get into it, and break it, okay? How safe is my guy in the excavator, or the truck? I mean, like, to give you an instance, when I've had trucks drive into low-hanging wires during the winter, and I've told him to stay in the truck until enough power gets there.
That's the correct action. So stay in the truck is the one key thing, no matter what, especially when you don't know what it is. Like, even the phone line can become energized if for some reason the pole breaks and our line hits the phone line. So like, a lot of times guys will climb out of the truck, and there's a difference in potential there. With the stuff that we're burning in the road, there's marking tape at the top. There's a comm interduct, which is bright orange. So you're gonna have to go through the marking tape, through the bright orange, and then hit the
Okay, so that orange one is on top of the power.
Correct.
It's telecom.
Yeah. And the way that URD cable has been designed is that the outer portion of the cable is the neutral.
Okay.
And then there's insulation, and then the conductor that carries the electricity is inside that insulation. So when you break through that, like say your bucket dug into it, it would go through the neutral. As soon as it hits the conductor, it's going to blow the fuse. It's going to take the circuit out. But don't consider that a guarantee.
Okay, cool.
One here?
First of all, I like the project, I'm not opposed to it. The communication is horrible.
Could you state your name, please?
Tim Smith, Hamilton Road.
Thank you.
You all bill us monthly, you know who your customers are. You need to correspond with people and tell us what the heck's going on. I've gotten 0 from the town. My neighbor told me about this. I even got a copy of the plan for Forest to know what's going on. But there has to be a better communication. This didn't happen overnight. This has been planned for a long time. And now all of a sudden we're here. Like I say, I'm not opposed to it. The communication is horrible. So if you want feedback, that's my feedback.
Thank you. I have some more.
I got a list of questions here, so.
Can I just speak on that
Yeah.
real quick? So the Ames Hill project, I'll be honest, and I've been honest with you guys too, I think it caught all of us by surprise. I was leaving for deer camp very soon, so I wasn't gonna be around. It was kind of like sprung on us. It was happening in the fall, it was last minute. So I understand the frustration with that communication part as far as the timing of the Ames Hill project last year. As far as the communication leading up to this project, although there's a better turnout than I was actually expecting, I still am frustrated. And I'm frustrated because we have to be here on Saturday, in the middle of the afternoon. There's more people than just Laura that are very unhappy. And I know who those people are because I heard from them on a regular basis during the duration of the Ames Hill project. Those people are not here. So as far as the communication goes, yes, I think it could be better. And we have been talking about this. Green Mountain Power has been to a select board meeting 3 months ago.
3 times.
3 times, I'm sorry, 3 times. We talked in select board meetings before Green Mountain Power came to those meetings.
We asked you to revise your requirements.
Yes, I was asked to revise my requirements. So there has been communication, and there has been ample opportunity for taxpayers to look online, look at the agendas, go to the town office, see what's on the agendas. So as far as the communication on this project, I am very happy with it. I'm also very happy that this project is going to be happening essentially now. I was super stressed out in the fall time because I was like, it's gonna snow anytime and this stuff still isn't wrapped up yet, and I was getting antsy. So I'm happy with the timing of this year's project because I think there'll be more ample time to address issues that come out of that project. So I just want to say that.
Thank you. Jeff, and then Ben.
I have questions.
Go ahead.
I looked at the plans. This is kind of unique because there are no overhead wires on the bulk of Hamilton Road. Most of us, and especially east of me, are fed from Route 9. And when I looked at my location on the map, it still seems like I'm going to be fed from Route 9. I'm right on the west Brattleboro Marlboro border. It comes up Route 9 and feeds the pole at Levi Howard and Hamilton Road. I'm just wanting to confirm that that's the case, that none of this new wiring will actually be feeding me. Because on your plan it says you're going to remove the wire between the pole at the top of this steep hill from Route 9 up to Hamilton Road. So and looking at that, you see, and it's the last page of your plans.
Okay.
So it comes up along the town line.
Right.
To a pole up on Hamilton Road. But
Yeah.
there's a note there that
The existing overhead lines will stay in your case.
because it says there it's being removed.
It
says between the pole that I'm fed from, which is 60.
Oh, okay.
As it comes up from the road.
65 to 64, it says that piece is going to be removed.
Right, that's the original feature.
So I would assume that my power is still going to be coming from Route 9?
Yeah, it's still, everything, your power will continue to come through West Brad and then up Route 9, and this is just a different route as opposed to running it through the trees in
For me, it won't have any effect on my supply, right?
No.
Because that's a hell of a, you talk about maintenance and problem.
Yeah.
You gotta put a rope on to even go down there and trim tree. I mean, that's one span from the top of the hill all the way to 9.
Yeah, like
I mean, you
even
talk
just,
about a weak link in the system that.
yeah, that's why we're trying to get rid of it. It'll be
But you're
gone.
not getting rid of it. You're leaving it.
This is getting removed. Like,
But the feed is from Route 9 to my feed.
correct, but your new feed will come off of Route 9 at the bottom of Hamilton Road.
But how do
And
you
it will
feed it?
follow.
Because you're taking the wire and feeds my pole down.
I know this wire will feed. It's like, here's your wire, here's the feed coming up. It splits into, it feeds the bottom half of Hamilton Road, and it feeds Route 9. Your line comes off of Route 9.
I don't think I'm getting here. I come off of Route 9 up to this pole.
Yep.
There's a transformer here, it feeds my house. It also feeds this house. This piece of wire here, your plan says you're removing.
Right, that portion.
So then how are you gonna get
This will
power
still stay the same.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Overhead line through the woods, we're
Yeah.
doing the same, it's unchanged.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to get from.
Yeah.
Okay. Thought I was seeing.
Yeah.
Let's just get a list here.
Okay,
Can you write
next
down some
question.
names?
Yeah, too short.
What's your, wait, he's got more to do, but let me have your name.
Nels Foster.
As far
And.
do you have any kind of,
And Jeff.
your schedule, how far out do you plan this? Like, so you get a more of a idea when Hamilton Road will be done? Is it gonna be for October, or is it gonna be in early?
Everything will be done by the end of September, but that
Yeah,
doesn't
but-
mean this
but
project, this
When will
project.
the project start?
Yeah, we have start dates that we can share.
Wait, could you give us an
So
idea?
I'll give you a basic idea. We're gonna start with Moss Hollow Road, right at the beginning of May.
Right.
That's our first priority. We're gonna get that open for the music festival. Then we're gonna hit Lucier Road down to Thomas Hill. That'll be next. Hamilton Road will follow right after.
So you're talking summertime, kind of July,
Yeah.
August, something like that?
I would hope that we're probably there by June.
And you're gonna, share that with us some way, or?
Yeah, that'll be communicated through the town itself.
Through Chris.
And how will
Chris
the
and
town
let us-
tell us?
And we'll also, so that'll be on the front porch.
It'll be posted on the,
Well, I don't use any of this.
Okay.
no, not, I'm saying
And they're all
in front of the
physically,
building?
physically posted on the bulletin boards.
But as far as customers,
You'll get a letter.
you people won't.
You will get a letter,
Okay.
everybody on the project area.
That's
gets
the
a
one
letter.
answer. So I understand now that the line will run down the center of the road, correct?
It-
There's always concerns.
Not the center, but it is under the road.
It will probably run, it will run on the high side of the road. the whole
This
way.
road is only like 18 feet wide.
That's right.
So the center is almost anywhere.
Okay.
And how deep is it?
4 feet.
It's 4 feet to your conduit.
Yeah.
Now, are you putting in two conduits, one for telecom too, or just
Yes.
yours?
Yep.
So yours is the bottom, then telecom, and then the warning tape?
And I would imagine that on the telecom, there will be more than one. You have 5 different companies.
So it'll be all, does that get put in by your machine?
Yes.
All at the same time?
All at the same time.
So that'll come through the delay and stuff, and you back to basically the same operation?
Right, and the trenching itself is only about.
Yeah, I've seen
At
it.
the most, okay.
Sorry about that.
You know there's bedrock there.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well, that's a cutter.
Yeah.
that's right through it.
It's carbide.
It's old.
I think you said you had a procedure to notify, fire EMS, because, you know, that's a Brattleboro and Marlboro situation, Rescue Incorporated. So what do you call it, team dispatch on that day, or how do you?
Usually, we'll get a contact, we'll talk to them before we start. We have a contact from last year that we use whenever we're communicating about road closures and scheduled road
To the
closures.
dispatch center? That's what I'm asking.
It's not the dispatch center, it's probably.
It's either fire chief or something like that.
You know, there are different people in different towns that we talk to about it.
It's a common dispatch agency for multiple
Sure.
places. They're the ones that pull it on the screen and say, this road is closed, you gotta. Because it's quite a distance. from there.
I can speak on that. Dispatch having that information isn't necessarily helpful. One of our fire department contacts will, you know, I know that's happened last year.
That's how we-
That's very useful to us, but yeah, dispatch doesn't really give us a lot for that.
Nels?
If you're calling to reach a lake from Brattleboro, and only your fire people know it, it's a delay. That's all.
We've got communication systems.
For number of terms, I expected the same thing, splicing box, cabinet, that's the green boxes we're talking about. Okay, and no toxic materials. It sounds to me like it's akin to a junction box, just in my house. It has to be where the water lines are coming
It'll
in.
be okay.
Yes. The conduit, the reel, at the reel ends, we sort of bring it up, splice the new reel, and keep going down, and then serve homes, and then there's a green box. What size are these single-phase green boxes?
It's probably about like a 1 foot by 1 foot. It sits about maybe a foot and a half high.
A lot of us in Los Angeles already have buried lines to the house.
Yes.
The electrical and full DV fiber, for example. I'm just curious the process of connecting the new buried lines to those existing buried lines to our homes.
So for the most part, yours comes off an aerial transformer. The conduit runs down the pole and runs over to the house. that'll still exist. So that the wire will come out of that splice box, it'll run up the pole and feed the top of the transformer.
So we'll make this part, I will make this part in the ground, and I'm gonna have this above.
Yes, you will still have an above ground pole, unless you would like to upgrade that to a regular pad mounted transformer, and then we could give you the cost for that and do that at the same time, which a lot of people do because aesthetically, that's even nicer than a pole. Yeah.
I think you have like a lot, I know you have a question, it sounds like you.
No, I've got a list.
Okay, he's still going though.
Well, I have a list, that was the idea.
Yeah, just go for it.
The culvert work, what company is going to be doing the culvert work?
That's going to be MT3, Mike and Chuck.
Okay. The question I had on that was, on the drawing, it shows a runoff which would actually flow right into my driveway. So I guess I have to speak with them and make sure it's correct. Because it's not the way it is existing, but there's a line through in there. It's basically a swale at the discharge of the pipe.
Is that the dotted line on that? Is that
Little.
above the house here, right here?
Yes.
Okay. So that's noted on the map.
But it comes straight in down the field.
Okay, it doesn't come in.
This is my driveway, so
Okay.
they can't redo it, match the map, the
Okay.
follow from now. All I'm saying is I'm on board, it stays the way it is.
Yeah, it'll stay the way it is.
It failed, and of course the driveway so it was fixed, but
Okay.
this puts it back some further.
All right.
So MD3,
Yeah.
is it possible that we get a list of all your business cards or your contacts?
I mean, yeah,
Or we
you
can
should
call you, say
contact,
we can call you,
you
but.
should contact us and we will get, if there's a visit we need to do with one of our contractors,
So
we'll
you
bring
did
them
the
out
list
to
of
you.
that?
Did, yeah, we gave it to Nick.
Well, I
And we
have-
also give it,
I
I'll
think
give it
the-
to you right now, I don't know what you want,
Yeah,
but he
you
has
just
it.
give me a.
Yeah, but Nick has it, so I'll give it to you as well.
For anybody who's here, if you need to get in touch with them, get in touch with me, and I will get their, I have their information, and I will provide it to you. You know, I don't think you had your business card.
Yeah, to the extent that there are specific questions about your property and the project, it is going to
Something
likely.
comes up, we need to know.
It's
You know,
going-
you say you'll answer.
It's going, we can answer it, but I'll just say it might be more useful to do the site visit to answer the specific questions. We're happy to take them, but it often might be, we're gonna meet you out there with the contractor, or we're
And some
gonna,
other folks, it might be after that time.
that's fine. We're not going anywhere.
I'm also gonna be, I learned a lot from the Ames Hill project. I'm gonna be on site multiple times a week, specifically when they're replacing culverts. So when you get to Hamilton Road, as they get closer to your house with the culvert specifically, I'll make a point to come up there.
And so we're all in agreement.
Yep, see whatever needs you.
Just one more question. Are you developing any kind of resiliency or backup system for feeding power up Route 9? Because the bulk of the power outages I've experienced are related to something down at the substation, something in Brattleboro, West Brattleboro. And
So
even single feed out there, right? Because we're always out. Is there another?
You're kind of actually a loop feed. So
Are we coming off Cotton Hill now or a different location?
no, so everything right now does come out of South Brat 32 circuit. So everything that feeds up this way. So we just redid all of Western Avenue. We redone sections in town as well, storm hardened those.
So that would be
Went
better
underground underneath
options.
91 to help out. And then with the 3-phase that we ran up Ames Hill this year, that also gives us the ability to backfeed down the line
Okay, good.
back towards your house.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and actually that was the original feed. The original feed came up Ames Hill, looped around through the center of town, the open points right here in front of the town hall, and it fed down to Hamilton Road.
So that's
that gives us
that's
that-
probably as big an improvement as putting underground for me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And the other thing too, like a lot of times you'll lose your line because of, just up from the Maple Museum, those trees come off that hillside and they demolish our stuff right in the center of Route 9. So we're trying to get rid of as much of that as we possibly can by this feed up.
This is all great work, but there's still weak links and so on.
Yeah, there's a,
But if you're working on those, that's even better.
Yeah, like we had a squirrel chew through the insulation.
They know, I understand.
in the center of Brattleboro on Friday and shut half the town off.
Okay, we have a lot of people in the.
Thank you. Thanks. I appreciate it.
And we're running out of time, so I'd like to move on if possible.
Dave, I'm Dave Matt. I just want to give some feedback on the project last year on Ames Hill Road. It was a nightmare for me. I tried to deliver firewood. Nobody knew when the road was going to be closed specifically, where it was going to be closed, and for how long. I'd make deliveries, or attempt to make deliveries, thinking the road was open, because that's what all my customers' information had, and the road was closed. And I got a truckload of firewood, so nowhere with. I got partway to deliver, they let me pass once, and I delivered, and on my way back out, they said the road was closed, and now to get home, we got down through Brattleboro, and back up to 9. So I'd like to know this year how you're going to manage the project. I've heard intimation, but I want to know specifically, is there going to be one place of clearinghouse of information where everybody knows exactly on that day where the road's going to be closed and for how long, the addresses, and so I can plan my deliveries, and the customers, the residents on the road would need to know that stuff as well. So I'd like to know, and also on the project, there didn't seem to be any one person that knew what was going on. I come up to the roadblock and they said, well, we don't know what's going on together in the Brattleboro, and we don't know what that crew's doing or where they are. I don't know if you can get through to your delivery or not, because we don't know where they are. Nobody knew what's going on the road. I mean, it just a jumble of things. People seem to be doing just what they please and not letting anybody else know what was going on. What's going to happen this year? What's going to be better?
So one of the things that we did here is, and we're trying to improve on as well this year, is to keep everything consolidated. So like last year we had culverts being replaced at one end of the road, the wheel was still working at the other end of the road, and the whole work zone was spread out. This year the work zone will be tighter, and we'll work with the towns as far as the communication goes as to when we're going to have sections of road shut down. But the culvert replacement is going to happen a lot faster than it did in the past. So that's what would drag that work zone out over.
And so your road closure predictions are going to be accurate this year, because last year they weren't. The road was supposed to be open and then it turned out to be closed or vice versa. I need to know, we need to know exactly when that is correct.
Agree, and also, and yes, it's certainly possible that we make the best of intentions of a plan on Monday, and by Wednesday something is shifted. So try to avoid those situations.
As things shift, you can change.
Correct. So by planning really carefully and letting folks know, if you say maybe it's Monday and Wednesday, because we know there's some things that could happen on Tuesday that might impact. So I think what we've learned is that we try to dial in as best we can what's going to happen, and we need to be able to change that in real time and get it through a communication channel that's updated for people. In the end, though, when you're on the road, the best thing for us to do is to minimize the time that someone's waiting and to get them through or around the zone as quickly as possible. So in addition to the communication, we've tasked our traffic control contractors with to actually plan the zone out every day and be communicating with that in the morning. So they all get on site in the morning, they talk about what's going to happen. We're very clear, so the person at this end should know what's going on at the other end of the job site and is able to communicate. So there's both the kind of on-job communication that we want to improve upon, and then there's the advanced planning and communication channels out. Every town has a different preference, not every, a lot of towns have different preferences about how they want to get stuff out. We'll do whatever works for you, whether it's a neighborhood email list, you have a sandwich board, I don't know what it might be. We just need to understand, what's the best way to do it? We will meet you where you're at, for sure.
And the other concern I had, sort of it's more minor one, but when they got done with their work on the road for the day, they left it rougher than hell. I'd have to go 3 or 4 miles an hour with my big truck because it's just slamming over these bumps. They never, they sort of would fill in the hole where the culvert was or where the ditch went up the road, but they never smoothed it out or graded it out in any manner. There's big rocks and potholes, and it was just a mess, and it stayed that way for a long time. So they need to do a better job of cleaning it up at the end of the day. It's really rough. It's very rough. Ben, online?
Oh yeah, thanks. I was just wondering, when the project is complete, is there a guarantee that there will be less power outages and/or shorter power outages?
I would almost guarantee it. We've already seen it in action, especially like where we first started 4 years ago, up in Townsend and Wardsboro, those customers would see close to 20 outages a year, and they've only seen one this past year.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, the technology will be far more resilient to storms. What it is not going to stop is from people driving into telephone poles or squirrels eating through wires or other things that are just beyond the control of any system you can build. So can I guarantee you'll never have an outage? No, I can't, but I can absolutely tell you that there will be fewer, and the system is going to be much more resilient, safe, cost-effective to maintain, and reliable.
Okay, thanks. I was just concerned because when I do the research online, it says that when there's a power outage in an underground utility lines, that the repair takes significantly longer, according to 4 different websites I found. So it just seems like there's less power outages, but when there is a power outage, it takes longer to fix, and we don't even know exactly how much it's going to cost. And people are saying, you know, there's this ugly box in my lawn, and you guys are just saying, well, sorry, I guess that's just what happens. It's just like you're asking us for forgiveness, not permission. Like, what's the point of this meeting? It's just going to happen anyway, so.
I think with the product that we're putting in as far as the undergrounding goes, we have that product available. So if for some crazy reason it faults in the middle of the line, we can lay that cable out in a ditch line safely and get the power back on. And it's super fast.
Yeah,
Then we'll come back later, excavate it, but the amount of time that it takes us to dig safe, set a pole, do tree trimming, put the wire back up, we're saving that over and over and over again by putting it underground. This is definitely a benefit for the customers as far as reliability.
Next.
Okay, Jeff? No, not anymore? Molly?
One of my main concerns, returning to something that's been spoken about before, but I'd like a little bit more clarity on this, is road closures. Now, people want to know when they're going to be closed, but I want to know, why do they have to be closed? I do believe you can do half the culvert, keep one side of the road open, up, finish one side, and then do the other half. Might take longer, might be more difficult, but fire and rescue will always be able to get through. This is really, really important to me. If fire and rescue can't get through, you can't send fire and rescue around Cow Path or down Moss Hollow to West Guilford or whatever. You really have to take this seriously. Is there someone on the fire department here? Yeah. So can you reassure me about how the road's closed? What happens if there's a major?
This sort of thing happens all the time in town, whether a tree comes down or there's a power line down, which this is probably going to help resolve. We find another way around almost all the time.
Okay.
It's just a matter of time.
That's what time does.
But in a rural area like this, response times are not what it's going to be in New York City or even in Brattleboro. So it adds a little bit more time, but it takes a while to get to everybody's house anyway. So I'm not sure it would be dramatic.
So Andrew and then Jimmy, just to respond to this.
One more thing I'll say about the construction zone is that some of these roads are quite narrow, and it is imperative that we make it safe for anybody crossing through the zone. So we do not take it lightly that it could be very dangerous for a car to try to pass, a 9-foot lane because we're working right next to it. So we're working with professionals. We do the very best we can to plan. We design the heck out of the system, and we really try to work very well with emergency services.
That's what I hear about most cars.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm worried about the emergency services.
And so are we. Like we do appreciate that. And please know that we minimize closures because they are painful for everyone. And safety has to be the first thing on our minds as working in the road. We will not put the safety of the public at stake to get something done quicker. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no, I understand. I just want to make sure that emergency services and Jimmy.
Cool.
Wait, just let them respond.
Yeah, I just wanted to speak on the closures. I close the roads when we do culverts. I have a little bit more of an advantage because we have radios that we can scan and I can listen to Keen. So I have a little bit better advantage than these guys do. What I will say is we always have material on site when we are digging those culverts, whether it's the stuff we just dug out or new gravel. And honestly, it's as simple as just dumping the load back in the trench and getting it so an emergency vehicle can get through. And like Nick said, the response times in rural communities like this, not for anybody's fault, are typically fairly slow anyways. I haven't personally experienced an issue with dealing with emergency vehicles. It's the same thing when I closed Southwood to put the speed tables in. Everyone's up in arms about it. I let the fire department know, this is what we're doing. If you guys got a call, we're getting out of your way. I don't care if you run over, whatever equipment we have.
Especially the new guy.
Just do what you got to do. And yes, it is a lot quicker to close the road. When I worked for Dover, we used to not close the road. And a spot like Hamilton Road, where it's super narrow already, I don't think you'll have any choice but to close that road to do those.
Same with Marlboro too.
In the spots, yes. So that's just my.
And then we'll go back to the queue.
Yeah, and I'll be very quick, I just want to back up what Andrew said. When he said that, we used to try to put in culverts half and half. And it's not only that it takes 5 times longer, it's a poor quality job because trying to get the alignments perfect when you're kind of guessing. And as long as there's a protocol in place that the people that are doing the work understand is a priority, that they do just what Andrew said. Fill it in 2 minutes, the ditch can be filled in, they have to dig it out again, they have to undo their what they've just wrecked, but the fire truck goes through, the emergency vehicle. So there just needs to be an understanding from the people doing the work, this is what you do if there's an emergency. You don't even question it, you just fill it.
Okay, so you know that, but do you guys know that?
Yes, we do, and I think the filling in the hole, but we've also having a steel plate handy or something to that effect. So again, no excusing the unannounced, driving around, didn't know the road was closed, but in terms of the emergency services, yes, we do contemplate that in an absolute emergency, we can always make
It's just, I know last year we set up that the ambulance, the head of the EMS service had direct line to him and the road foreman. So if she got a call, she got on the phone with him and it was, they were able to get through.
Okay.
I mean, was there any problems last year with getting through?
That's also what, sorry to keep this going, it's also what mutual aid's for, like Tim was talking about. Ames Hill's closed, at Laura's house, right? I'm not on the fire department anymore, but I'm assuming that the fire department contacted dispatch and said, hey, the road's gonna be closed here. And anything this side of the closure, Marlboro's got it. Anything that side of the closure, Brattleboro's coming. That's what mutual aid's for also, so just keep that.
Deanna?
Yeah. Apologies for coming back to the map again, but I think I'm finally able to decipher most of it without a key. Where it says the wire is retired, that's just the GMP wire? The telephone and internet wires still remain on those poles?
Correct. For now.
Okay, hopefully someday.
Hopefully someday, and
Okay.
so retirement means yes. So once we get our new line installed and energized, we would take our wires down and basically cut the poles down to the top of the first communication we would come into contact with. But we are working with all the telecommunications companies, letting them know and where we're going. They have the opportunity to give us material that we'll put in the ground, spare ducts so they can run in. We're also installing one just because that's what we're doing. We're, everywhere we go, we've put at least one inner duct in the ground for future use of telecom. So that's
with DB5. You're working with DB5 on.
Yeah, Comcast, consolidated.
That would be great.
That's the ultimate goal.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. My other question was, so you're going to do Moss Hollow starting in May, and then you're doing Lucier. And will that be the middle of May, the end of May, beginning of June? Do you have a guesstimate?
So the trenching operation is a little bit more like a paving crew. So the direct buried of the conductor or roughing that in goes very quickly. So it might be a matter of days or a week. That machine will be down through Moss Hollow, and then it will move.
Okay.
Behind it, then we'll have a schedule. Say the culverts are coming in on this progression, and then we'll finish all the line work. So as we're finishing Moss Hollow, Lucier, Thomas Hill Road gets going, same progression. The direct bury operation goes and moves on, and then everything happens behind it, and then it goes on to Hamilton Road per se. So it's a phased construction, but our goal is to be out of Marlboro by midsummer.
If, I don't know, if you don't use internet and stuff, that's great, but Kristen and I are going to be in constant contact. She's going to be giving me the schedule. It'll be on the website, but it'll also be posted in paper on right by the post office.
And we'll be getting a letter from you guys, right? saying
Before we
this-
start, correct.
Okay, all right, thank you very much.
Yeah, and any problem, if you can't, you're going to have their numbers. Any problem, call me. And then I can work to contact them. I mean, that's my function as town administrator, is to be your guys' advocate, so.
Okay, thank you.
Based on the amount of footage that they did last fall on Ames Hill, don't want to speak for them because things happen. Unless something crazy happens, I would expect their trencher, I'm going to say 2, maybe 3 days on Moss Hollow. 2, maybe 3 days on Lucier Road. They laid down quite a bit of footage in a day's time on Ames Hill. Like I said, things happen, things come up where they can't get that footage, but the trencher itself was in and out, in my opinion, very quickly.
And that's what our schedules will show. This activity, these dates, followed by this, followed by this. So you'll always know what set of activity you can encounter every day.
And I would just, in the normal course of existence, if the schedule says June 4th, it's going to be here, give it a day. I mean, in your brain, kind of go, okay, because maybe there's a huge rainstorm coming, so they'll work a little faster to get it done, or, so I will update it as much as possible. Kristen will be updating me, Tim will be updating her, and it will get you the information.
Okay, great. Thank you all very
Thank
much.
you.
I really appreciate it.
Mary.
2 follow-up questions. Dave talked about deliveries, and on Hamilton Road in Brattleboro end is the dairy farm. And we have a milk truck and a grain truck that come from this direction. So who's going to contact whom? I don't know, personally, I don't know the name of the delivery company to tell them, are you going to call the farmer and tell
Absolutely.
the farmer?
Yeah, we did touch on this just a little bit. We talked about it the other day.
You got Jacob's number.
We'll go right directly to the farmer and say, what does your operation look like? And how can we not be in conflict with that?
Good. And then my other question is about Laura. Do you have these aesthetics are important to us, okay? Do you have any references or people that you utilize that are environmental or garden or arborist designs that can help mediate this ugly thing that she has there, that you could say, oh, Laura, look at this, it's an ugly thing. Let's put these shrubs around it and let's put these trees over here so that it mitigates what's going on. At least you make an effort to help her. You do that? Okay. You're happy with that?
No, I want it moved, if other people.
No, I know you want the item moved, but if it can't be
I want it
moved.
here, could you put it here? I would like that option too. I never had any courtesy, no notice, and the letter never stated anything about the huge green box being put in.
Or the whips and all of that stuff. But you have people that, do you do a planting? If you don't move this, Are you gonna give her something to make this
Absolutely.
look
Yeah.
nice?
I've been out there, we had our contractor go out there,
Okay.
so we will take care of that this spring, and that was the promise.
Yeah, and the red whips, I want to speak on that really quick. I kind of look at it like they're really for my benefit. When we wing the roads back with the grader, I need to know where those boxes are. So yeah, they're pretty tall, but you were living here with the rest of us when we had that 46-inch snowstorm, so they need to be big. But I understand they're big and they're red, but I really need those to know where that stuff is. So.
Are there any other markers where the conduit is or not? Strictly the boxes that they want?
Along the route. Yeah, there will be one or
Like
two,
along the
especially
side of the road or something.
where there's culverts. Yes.
Some kind of indicator, like they do at the gas station.
Yeah, and there's marking tape laid on top of that as well. So you can
Yeah, I mean, surface visuals.
Jimmy? So this is kind of an unfair position for me to put you guys in. If the state of Vermont or some large corporate entity was doing an infrastructure expansion and one of your junction boxes, such as Laura's, was in the way, I think it's fair to say that the technology would cover a way to splice the wire and splice the conduit and move the box out of the way of $1 million or $2 million or bigger project. So where is the cutoff line? And I understand this is a huge nuisance value, but if the box at Laura's house was compatible with what I just described, I think it would get moved. It wouldn't hold up progress forever. So what in essence is the bottom line for where you draw the line where an unhappy person doesn't get the box, the junction box moved compared to a corporate structure or municipality that might get it moved?
In this case, I would say, we offer people, as Donna mentioned before, we could say, okay, if you want your service buried, we can take it all down, and it would be the customer's cost to basically upgrade their underground service, because there's a riser pull out there and a transformer on it that's there already. That was already existing. So that was our way of picking up the pole with our new conductor, is basically putting a termination cabinet there, right? So you're right. Could it be moved? Probably. But it's also serving the customer in its current location. So we aggregated, the gear together, and ultimately we'll take some of the gear away from the old pole line, and the pole and the box will be there. Like I said, I think where it is on the driveway, and I know that Laura feels it's the only location that is like that. I disagree that that's the case, but we've offered to mask and landscape around it so it can't be seen either from inside our house or approaching the driveway. I think that's where we land on that, and I think that is a workable solution than to come and dig it up and move it somewhere else. Still have to serve the property, so we just kind of have to limit, how far we kind of expose ourselves to a different remedy when the simple, straightforward, safe, service connection was the manner in which we took. And again, back to just aesthetics, which usually boils down to, we certainly, lean into that with customers and what we can do. And again, if Laura's not happy with the, when we replant it, then we'll continue having the conversation.
So it sort of sounds like then this would have been a really good decision to have made prior to installation, because are you underground into your house from that pole overhead? So basically it would have been just a matter of jumping that service drop to a slightly different location for where the junction box rises out of the ground. So I'm only saying that in that it really sounds like Ed Lapata made a comment about where the box, you're going to address that. And that sounds like a really good protocol to have strongly in place for even people that don't raise the question, because they may not perceive what that box is going to look like and are going to be unhappy afterwards. And getting out in front of that would be for everybody to gain.
Nope, point taken. And all I can say is, in an existing situation like this, all we can do is meet with the landowner and see what we can do to work it out. And this is where we stand with Laura, personally, and anybody else that calls us before we do something. Obviously, we have a few more options. But there's no guarantee that we go visit all these places and say, well, look, we need to build our line safely and affordably, and if we have right of way, GMP has some options that we need to lean into as well. So we just can't broadly accommodate what every single person would like to see ideally. All we can do is come out and meet with people. If it's after the fact, what can we do to mitigate? If it's beforehand, can we move? And there's no guarantee that we can. So again, it's just an open conversation.
Yes.
We're almost at our time. Anything else from anybody?
I think it would make sense to do a little review of the issues.
Yeah, I was just going to get.
Yeah, so it seems to me we have communication is a big one. People did not take advantage of the communications that the select board does, because people don't always pay attention. Sometimes it's part of not using the internet, and then just go repeat all of the minutes of every meeting and every notice, public notice is there when you come to pick up your post office stuff, or you come to the community center. Just take 5 minutes to look and see what's posted. 1. 2, Green Mountain Power is going to be figuring out a way to communicate through Kristen and Nick about what's going on different roads at different times. And I noticed that during the Amesville thing, it wasn't quite specific enough. Like it was just, I was laughing about it towards the end. It was just the same project being listed for the next 2 weeks. So if you could say on a specific road, this is what we're going to be. The trencher's gone. We got a pretty well-educated audience here now, thanks to you guys. Trencher's done culvert work. By the way, culvert work means there will be road closures. Look for the road closures on we could even have them on our little, Times Square sign out here. We know exactly what's going to happen. There's probably only going to be one road closure at a time, right?
We did communicate, I thought, Nick,
On the road closures, we did.
We did, and also like if it was trenching or overhead, we did try to do that.
Yeah, those kinds of things are less important than the road closures.
Okay, we did.
I think we're good.
Yeah.
We both learned a lot from last year, and I'm going to get on the phone with her next week, and maybe we'll create some sort of form that can, anyway, we're...
Everything will be posted.
I did bold stars, we tried.
Right.
Keep on that.
So we're going to really make sure that the people who don't use the websites and whatnot have access to the information.
Yeah, ideally, I posted Tuesday for the following week.
Yeah, so
that's kind of ideally what I'd like to do.
communication.
Excuse me, it needs to be posted almost daily if you're going to change your schedule, because...
Well, if there's a schedule, if there's a schedule, in other words, that's...
The biggest
She'll
change like
email
that,
me.
like those real-time changes on closures, we would definitely communicate.
Yeah. I mean, I meant that I was, okay, here's the schedule for next week. And then Kristen calls me on a Thursday and says, hey, we're changing Wednesday to Thursday for this section of road. I would make that change, and it would, again, be posted on the website and as a hard copy on the bulletin board.
Another thing's for the concerns about costs, which GMP is putting the cost with us. Right? And saving the town a lot of money because you're putting in culverts for us. Like, I don't know how much that you saved us last year, with $30,000-$40,000. So that's something to be aware of. And the cost does get passed on to the customers, but less of a cost because there are fewer storm outages. Storm outages cost more, and then so the investment in having many fewer power outages will increase over time. And in terms of aesthetics, I don't know how much leeway you have, but you've gotten a lot of information here about how people care about it. And so we really behoove you to check with people and see, do you have any specific plants that you want to save? Are there trees that you think you should, you said you weren't going to take any whole trees down, so that's not really an issue. And then the concerns about right-of-way, like the stone wall, like it's a lot for you to
Yeah, I
touch.
think that,
We're not touching this.
Yeah.
I think the takeaway is, that we are definitely open to talking to customers.
Right, and that's a
We wanna
lot,
make sure
that's a lot of work for you.
they know how to get in touch with us. That's what Tim and Don do every day. They talk to customers all day, every day.
So
Kristen as well.
if you give us, and Nick and I, anything that you'd like us to do to facilitate communication with that.
Yeah, I think that line of communication being very solid is gonna help us, because we may need to pivot on what works best for the town and what's the best way to communicate real-time changes versus the look-ahead schedule, which is a little bit more predictable and has less variability.
So I think, with Evan's billing, we can just use that time.
Yeah, that's a good, quick,
It doesn't have to be one of those giant solar powered things that are not very care. This is handy, and most people come into town with.
Yeah.
If I could just add something on the communication side of things, is that you people showed up today online. Thank you very much. If you know of a neighbor who you regularly talk over the fence to, who doesn't use the internet and has no, let them know and have them walk into the town office. I'm there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in the afternoon, from noon to 4. And they want to talk to someone, get some answers. I can then take that information. So, you're a good communication tool as well as the internet.
And Andrew wants to add something.
Okay, we got one other.
Staley first.
Yeah, I'm Staley McDermott. I'm from almost out of town, 2695 North Pond Road. Now, Teal was by there a month or two ago, putting in stakes. And I was lucky enough to talk to him, got a lot of questions answered and so forth. As far as I know, I'm the only one there. Following up on a number of comments here, what are you going to do? Let me just make a suggestion to you, that you, in the mail, write us and tell us what's happening. And if it would be best to have a meeting so we can get all these questions out before work started, just like we're doing here. But I think the important thing is, with all these communication things, we still, for now, have mail. And I know you've got my address. I get a bill every month. So I would suggest you do that and let us know, because
you're talking about me.
Well, no, I have tried to call.
I use mail too.
I've tried to call to get some information.
Drastically impact your taxes if we did that.
Well, I mean,
I'll give you the postage.
I don't know how many.
Wait, one voice at a time. Andrew.
Just one suggestion on the road closures and the detours. One thing I found really helpful for me, actually Jimmy mentioned it a year ago, we finally got our light up signs operational. I found it really helpful with Higley Hill. I close the roads every year for mud season, and I gave the people, if I didn't want, particularly the ones going in Mount Snow, I gave those people actual directions. Road closed, residents only, Mount Snow, use Route 9 West. I saw a lot of people pull in there, hit the brakes, and they went right back on Route 9. So just a suggestion to you all as far as the detours go. You're not going to make everyone happy, but they might be a little less angry if they know where to go. And I also wanted to say that to everyone here, that I really appreciate Green Mountain Power agreeing to install road fabric on these projects that are coming up this summer before they put new gravel down. I'm really appreciative. I hope you guys will be. I hope it takes care of the majority of our mud seasons on those roads. And maybe an unpopular opinion, but feel free to do the whole town because I love more road fabric. So, thank you.
No, I was just saying, I don't know how many residents are suspected on Ames Hill from here to Brattleboro, but I don't think it was too many to send a letter to from the town saying, this is being proposed, how do you feel? How do all of you on Ames Hill feel about this? And letting us know about the green boxes, because there was no mention about green boxes in anything. It sounded like they were going to bury lines and take down telephone poles. I have the original letter from Green Mountain Power. There was no mention of these huge utility green boxes. So it's just really upsetting. So, anyway.
One more comment. Mr. Harris.
Well, the green box description comes up again and again and again. And I think the biggest complaint is not that it's green, but it looks like an industrial, urban infrastructure, which people tend to be unhappy about. Do they have, can people paint them? I mean, graffiti is going on, but would you call that vandalism if people decided to, I mean, just changing the color of that fiberglass box has no manifest effect on the box in any way. What would your response be?
I'd say no, don't. I mean, I think we see graffiti on some of our other cabinets in towns. I've noticed what happened on Ames Hill. It's not something we're going to prescribe that folks do.
Well, not graffiti, but just a different color scheme.
I'm not suggesting that you go out and I think that's gear that belongs to GMP at the end of the day. So, I mean, I think they blend in pretty well as green, on the landscape. So I would say no, we would not suggest that people go out and mask equipment that belongs to GMP with a different color. We'd rather plant some bushes around, which is sort of the angle that we're taking.
And with regard to that, the red warning posts, which I completely understand, again, they could be done so much more tastefully and still be totally noticeable. You could have and this could be done by a landowner, a piece of locust post that will last for 80 years, the same height, but not the bright screaming red that it does.
But the bright screaming red that's the point.
I understand.
There's a safety reason why those were there, and Andrew spoke about it. I completely understand where you're going with it. I hear you. And I think that making sure that those cabinets are not in your way, not something that you clip with a plow or something else, or that someone is kind of driving into, just not seeing. It's really important that the consistency is there so that someone going down the road and seeing them understands that that's what that is. We can probably debate whether red's the right color, but for now, I would definitely ask that we leave the equipment in place as it is, as we see, and keep the safety in mind.
Are those things a standard?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so that might be an important piece of information to say like, hey, this is how it is because of this standard or this code.
Yeah, I mean, they need to be visible.
Sure, right.
Yeah, and stand out to someone.
Right, yeah, and but people are more apt to not necessarily agree with you, but understand you better if you're like, we're following this standard, this because of this code type deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think that there's actually a written standard, but industry standard, like you go to somewhere out in Colorado, they all have whips on every single one of their cabinets.
Well, originally, just so Andrew knows, they had put one right there, so it looked like when you entered my house, it was saying, warning, do not enter. And they moved them to separate ends of my property, Andrew, so just so you know, it's dangerous there. But I think you can see the two red poles, red flags or whips, whatever you call them, on either end as well.
All right, we're after 4.
I'd like to thank the GMP folks for
Thank
coming
you.
out on Saturday.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
They were working hard, high-paid people, and you folks that came.
Oh, it was great to meet you. Thank you for coming and for your time.
Donna,
You sure?